All right. Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining our November Toolbox Tuesday. I'm very excited about today's topic because we are joined by Brad Kibbe from NCCER. He was going to join us at the conference and just through our confluence of events was not able to, but he generously offered to join us today and give us a look into the updates that have happened with NCCER. For those of you who use NCCR, you know there was kind of a slew of updates that their system went through. They got a new look, there's some new features. So he's gonna walk us through those and give us some tools. So I'm gonna go ahead and introduce Brad to you all now. So Brad is the Senior Workforce Development Manager with NCCER, and he brings extensive knowledge of NCCER as an end user from his previous work as the Executive Director for the Florida Masonry Apprenticeship and Educational Foundation, and as a former high school and apprenticeship instructor. Brad's experience in CTE and the construction industry has led to the development of strong partnerships between LEAs, colleges, industry, and corrections to provide nationally recognized articulation programs that train and employ the future construction leaders. Brad is a graduate of the carpentry program at Blackstone Valley Technical School in Massachusetts and earned his contractor's license at the age of 18. He owned his own construction company at 20, and Brad has a VICA, VICA. Is it VICA, Brad?
It's Vika. Now it's
VICA,
Skills USA. It used to be
Skills
Vika.
USA.
Now it's Skills USA. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That's what I thought. All right, so Vika, national medalist in carpentry in 1989, and earned his Bachelor's of Science in Education at the age of 48. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Brad, and I will hand over the reins for him to walk us through today.
Thank you, Christine. It's always strange hearing that when people introduce you like that. I part of me wonders why I'm not retired yet, and then part of me wonders if I've actually lived up to any of those expectations. So, it's good to see everybody here today and to have you at this meeting. Again, I apologize for not being able to make the last event. Like Christine said, circumstances beyond my control. But there's a lot of fantastic things that are happening with NCCR, and it's good to be able to share those with you. And I know some folks are utilizing NCCR currently through the Illinois Works process. We've got several folks that are part of another piece that we use with Youth Build USA and all of that as well. And that's the heart of it for NCCR, is we want to be able to influence as many lives as we can in construction education, and our platform in that as being able to have all of the curriculums developed, the processes in place, and everything that needs to be put into play to allow this to happen at the middle school level as an orientation to construction, for high school career and tech ed programs, for community programs, and everything else in between. We really like to be able to provide the resources needed for this to be successful. Illinois Works has been a great partner, and the team in Illinois for this has been fantastic to work with, and we're thankful to be able to have this opportunity to be able to work with all of the groups that are providing these wonderful opportunities for individuals to be able to improve their lives through training and workforce development in the construction areas. So some of the things that I wanted to go over today for this meeting revolves around what Christine said, is some of the updates. If you've been around NCCR for any amount of time, you'll know that the end of July, we transitioned 27 years of information from 5 different platforms that have been cobbled together over many years. You know, which when NCCR started, there was no online testing. There was no, so all of these things adapted and grew and got implemented over time, and they all operated somewhat independently of each other. So the rollout of our new website started last April, and then the new systems, putting all those things together in a single engine, um, was a process. It was a 14-month developmental process that we had to try and make sure we rolled out before school started. As you know, we have so much impact in the high school career and tech ed areas that we needed to be able to roll it out. Not without, you know, some hiccups and some hardships along the way, but those have been cleaned up, and everything that we've got moving forward now is operating really well. You know, the biggest thing that I tell my folks that are working in Illinois and the other 10 states that I cover is, when you run into issues, I want you to be able to understand how to be able to get solutions to the things that you need. Couple of documents that I shared with Christine that I may show you here, but I'd almost like to walk you through the website part of it instead, because there's ways to see it through there. One is on pulling reports. We have some new accesses and ways to pull reports so that the things that you need and are required to submit to Illinois Works for completion of trainees or learners, you can access those and pull those, download those correctly, and be able to submit those. The other part of it is the students and your learners getting their NCCR card numbers. So I submitted 2 documents to Christine that she can share out. Those are for the world to see. And we've been sending those out to quite a few people over the last month or so, as those got developed. So there's some good resources for you to make sure that you're able to help your students be successful, and also to be able to make sure that as an organization, if you're using NCCR, how to track everything that is being done through your training programs. So what I'm going to do is I want to actually share my screen, and I'm logged into my NCCR account, and I want to be able to walk you through a couple of different scenarios here that you have available to you in the login area of your pages. So if you're an instructor, if you're a manager of your programs, if you have an NCCR card number and you're set up to be a person within your programs to utilize NCCR and have access directly to your programs, then this login page for your NCCR account, excuse me, is critical for you to understand how to navigate this. So what I want to do is just show you a couple of details in here. When you log in, you'll always see your card number and your name in here from your home screen. If you have done training of any sort with NCCR, if you have gone through and you're a proctor or an instructor, if you've actually taken training, if you've done assessments or pipeline, industry, any of those things, those are going to show up under your credentials. Okay, so when I click on my credentials and I go in here, I can actually see the trainings that I've done, the certifications that I have. Journey level assessments is another side of NCCR where we actually test for industrial electrician or industrial HVAC technician, those types of things. So I've got a couple of training pieces in here just as a show and tell. So it shows a module completion for Build Your Future in Construction. If I was to have completed levels of training, the level for core curriculum would show up here. Any craft completion, so if I went through all 4 levels of electrical and I completed the electrical program, it would show up as an entire craft completion for electrical. So those all appear here in your training section. Journey level is another one. And then the certifications also show up here. So as an assessment proctor or a master trainer, certified module test proctor, I have these here as my credentials for a program personnel. So as an instructor, I would have all of those sections. So you could actually take and you can view or print your certifications that show that you're an instructor or a test proctor. If you're somebody who is a manager, then you've gone through training to be the manager of your program. That's not a credential. That's not a certification. That's just that's a leadership training through NCCER. So there's not an actual certificate for that. But those certifications that you would have for your instructors and stuff, they're all here. So they can print those. Students will also see this on their page. So when they log in, an individual that's taking training is going to be able to see this on their page. So it's important for them to understand how to access this, how to be able to see it, and how to utilize it. This is a tool for them to utilize as they go throughout their training. If they go, and get into a job, get placed after they complete their training, and maybe their employer is going to be using NCCER and can evaluate them and see what they've done, this is a great tool for them to be able to share their experience. So after a student takes and completes a couple of modules, and say they have 2 or 3 modules on here, and they want to order their wallet card, their little blue NCCER wallet card, the student can order that directly from here. They have the ability, if they want to, they can add their photo on that as well. So within their account, they can actually take and add their photo when they're getting ready to order their wallet card. This will be directly sent to their address that they've listed within their NCCER account. So it's important that their account is complete and has all of the information that they need to mail those in there. I believe it also allows you to type that address in as you're going. If they want it sent somewhere else, they can choose to have it sent somewhere else or to a different address and put it in there. So one of the neat things that's new about the NCCER wallet card is it also now has a QR code on it that is specific to that individual and their card number. That piece of that information then can be scanned, and it'll automatically take the individual that scans it to what you would find for them under verify credentials. It'll show what their transcript looks like and the different modules, crafts, and levels that they've completed. So it's a snapshot for somebody that's possibly an employer, somebody that's going to hire them, somebody that's going to put them in a position with their company to be able to see that. So having students understand that that is a resource to be able to utilize when they're job searching is a great tool for them to understand. Part of the next piece of that for verifying credentials is for y'all that are working through Illinois Works and you need to do some reporting, you want to pull things out. I know early on they were asking for the transcripts for students to be able to actually pull them up and provide what they would need to report every month or every couple of months, however they need it. I'm sorry, I'm looking for one of my students that I use as an example. So if I put in a card number, and I hit search, I'll be able to look up those people. If I want to do more than one person, I would comma space next card number, comma space next. So you can search multiple at one time. But if I take and I search and I come up with Dominique, and I believe this is somebody from Illinois actually, and I view credentials, I can actually see everything that she's completed. It shows as a level completion for core, and it has the ability then to take and print the different aspects of it. Sometimes I don't have power to have to see those, all the print buttons. But the other part that they can do is you can look at the transcript as well, and that will download and be able to be viewed. I hope you can see this still. But you have the ability then to see their entire transcript. So being able to search folks that way is a great way to look at what's available for them. So so those are a couple of tools in here that can be utilized. Another important part of what you all would be using quite often in here is going to be some of the reports that you would want to be able to pull. So training and assessment. Your group is not using assessment at this point. The assessment one is the journey level assessments, and that's an entirely different aspect of the NCCER family. So everything under training is what you would be utilizing, and you can pull reports on these different areas. So if it's craft completions or level completions, you can pull these by date, and the instructors and everything that's in there. So the PDF that I share with Christine that she'll share actually has some instructions on how to do that. One of the big ones for instructors to understand is the training score reports. Okay, so being able to say that we have had students that have gone through our program and have tested in modules, they're all going to list here. So you can do it. For me, it pulls as a student here. So a student will be able to see this. As an instructor, you're going to see everybody that you've assigned tests to, anybody that's under your organization. So you can see how they've done. You can sort this by adding filters. There's other areas that you can do. So if you just wanted to look at a specific module, you can order it by those modules so that you can have those modules at the top are all combined together. And you see the information for the individual. So now I purposefully got a 27 on this exam so that I could show what happens when you have a failing score here. Passing is 70%. So at a 27%, this shows up as a red score. And what we have available for remediation for students is a training prescription based on each one of the tests that they take. So if you have, say, a dozen students on here and 3 of them didn't pass, and they want to see their training prescription, which gives them the area that they can go back to, you would take and select that student or that couple of students, and you would view or print selected. You can export the report as well. But what this does is it gives a very specific training prescription for the module that they didn't pass. So the module numbers listed here, wall systems, and each one of these selections here is the area within the module that they didn't pass a test question. So NCCER doesn't provide answers to questions for these reports. It doesn't provide what the question was that they missed. We provide the section to go back and train. It's about being able to understand the information, being able to research based on what the misunderstanding was. This is great for instructors. If you have 10 students and all 10 of them miss the exact same question, then as an instructor, you can say, I need to really focus on this area in my instruction to better cover what's possible to be tested from the testing bank. So this is something that you can save it as a PDF. You can directly print it off, each of them as well. but this is very specific for individuals to be able to understand where they need to go back to study before they sit for that test once again. So score reports is another great area to be able to get people information so that they understand where they are on this. Hold on, let me see. Go back to my account portal. Some of the other good resources in here. Anytime that you see from the home page announcements, it's just information. This changes every week. We'll do a weekly update with announcements so that you can see that. If you don't want to see it anymore, you can X out of it. But as soon as a new update comes, it's going to pop up on your screen here so that you'll be able to see it and read the information. If you've got folks that need to go through instructor training, and you're signing them up for that, and you've got new people that need to go through training, we have in this document the actual calendar of training dates. Oh, excuse me. So for the instructor training, down here on the bottom right, the schedule of those courses is there. So folks will know when those classes are actually taking place, the Zoom sessions for the instructor training. So that's an important spot right there in this document. The how-to videos, again, are great learning tools for some of the instructors or managers that are running programs to be able to see where things are. And there's a direct link to get to customer support here as well. I like to tell people when they are looking for support on something and they call, a lot of people will call the support line. That's usually a very busy place, an active place. They try and get those calls answered and figured out who needs to deal with what on the NCCER team. I like folks to be able to email through the support email, because from there, if you have a very specific billing question, you can put in the subject area, this is a billing and subscriptions or an accounting question, and it'll automatically be assigned to somebody in the accounting department to help you deal with that. If there's issues with students or things that they're having a hard time with access, if you email and say, this is the student, this is their card number, they don't have access, it goes to somebody on my team, one of our coordinators, and they'd actually do a reset and get back to you with the reset information for that particular student or students that are having those issues. So the support email is a great way to get a little bit quicker response time on some of the issues that may pop up from time to time. This need help button here takes you directly to the customer support page as it's loading. So here's another great way to find your resources for how-to documents and videos, contacting support directly. A lot of quick links down here as well. If you're not sure how to get a hold of me, the information is here in our workforce development team. There's a lot of different resources that are in here that you can view and read to be able to help you through. We've put a lot of different titles here on your accounts, on the learners, program personnel, some of those things that are in here. So being able to utilize the support page, there's a lot of different information for folks to be able to access to hopefully sometimes answer the questions that you may have. I'm not sure if there's any questions that have popped up, Christine. I'm not seeing, I don't see anything from my side on that. I want to make sure I don't just blast through all of this on you. Is there anything that has popped up at this point?
So I do not have anything in the chat. If anybody out there does have questions, please put them in the chat and I will communicate them. But I actually did have a question for you, Brad, that came
Okay.
up while we were going through the transcript document. So I know on the transcript there's the craft and then there's the level completion. What is the difference between those two?
So each specific craft has its own completion. So electrical, I'm just going to use electrical for an example. Electrical is the craft. There are 4 levels of electrical. So every time they complete a level, if they've completed 2 levels, you'll see levels 1 and 2 in the level completions.
Okay.
Once they complete all 4, you'll still see the 4 levels completed, but you'll also see electrical craft completion at the top as well. Okay,
Okay.
so I think core curriculum is the core curriculum showing up as a craft completion? I don't think it is. It's just considered a level within the first within as the basic introduction to construction. I don't think it shows up as an actual craft completion.
So
Um,
I've seen it in both areas. So
okay.
this is a question we've gotten from our grantees is when they're uploading the transcript, does core have to show in the craft section? Or if it shows up anywhere on the transcript as like a level or a craft, does that verify that their participant did earn core?
Yes, it doesn't matter which one.
Okay.
I know at one point they were doing it as a craft, and they were saying, well, it's not really a craft, it's an introduction to the craft, so it may just be a level. Um, I think the developers are still tweaking that a little bit as to how that's going to live. So it may have bounced around on y'all a little bit.
Okay.
Um, but but yeah, as long as it shows as completed and you can view a print certificate, it shows in the transcript as a level completion, then that's going to satisfy what y'all will need to see as completions for individuals.
Okay. Great. Great.
Um, One of the other areas that I wanted to make sure that I shared with you and showed you is the instructor toolbox. This is something that NCCR, if you go to our website, instructor toolbox is there. Okay. But that instructor toolbox is the vanilla instructor toolbox. The lesson plans, PowerPoints, and all those things that an instructor that is credentialed through NCCR and is access to be able to teach, use the online testing, do the performance evaluations, all of that. The instructor toolbox in your NCCR account, in the instructor's NCCR account, is the one that actually has the lesson plans, PowerPoints, and all of that. So being able to take and go in here, there's a lot of different resources that you can see. We have a team that is our outreach and engagement team. They have been working over the last year and a half to develop instructor guides, some resources, some other things that help instructors with the process of instruction. Has a lot of different details. So these general resources here are great to be able to thumb through, look at, and make sure that you have an understanding of how some of this can be utilized in the classrooms. There's direct links on some of these to be able to go through, even if I just went to the resources and infographics. It has some teaching strategies, connections map, the instructor success guide, some of the things in here that are really good components to the instruction of that. Some of the activities and projects that have been here in here for a while as well. So if you're going to do an activity for lockout, tag out as part of safety ladder inspection, some of these, and there's more being added down the road. We're trying to find the right platform to add all of those. So this was kind of a test of that. NCCR is the Skills USA carpentry chair. So we actually host and run the carpentry national carpentry contest at Skills USA, and we've been doing it for a long time. So we actually have a lot of the projects that were used. The plans are in here as well. If you have a cool project that you've done in your class and you have something that you'd like to share, you can actually submit those. They'll get vetted by NCCER and then added here as well. Like I said, we've got a larger resource of this. It's just because it's new, they're trying to find the proper place to be able to associate that and have them all accessible. So we part of the outreach and engagement team has the Craft Instructor Forum on LinkedIn and on Facebook as well. So there's a way to socially connect to this. We're in the process of developing craft specific forums as well, almost like a professional learning community, as it were, of folks that are teaching core curriculum or teaching carpentry or teaching electrical, so that we can have instructors from across the country being able to work together and share ideas and information and projects and things in a forum of their own, so that it's more specific to different crafts. So that's a new resource that we've got coming as well. Let me see if I go back here and start looking at the crafts in the different areas. Core curriculum is one that I know y'all are going to be using. So the 5th edition and the 6th edition are still active in here. You know, make sure when you're whatever curriculum you've purchased that your instructors are utilizing the correct content for those from the Instructor Resource Center here, the Instructor Toolbox. And each one of these here is a folder for that specific module. Okay, so every one of those modules has its own specific folder, and within it has lesson plans, the performance profile sheet for that area, and then the PowerPoints are, you can either do the PowerPoint or the PDF. They're broken up into chunks so that if you're going to teach this, the safety is basically the longest module that we have in core curriculum. You can break these up into sections, so they broke up the PowerPoints so that they can be done in smaller chunks and not have to be overloading as far as the information. So all of that is there for the teachers to be able to access and utilize. The PowerPoints are not locked. So if there's something that you as an instructor wanted to add, if you're doing OSHA 10 directly as a 500 instructor and you want to add the OSHA slides directly to the PowerPoint from NCCER, you can do that. I would say don't change what's on the NCCER slide because it's going to help prepare students for the testing. But to be able to say that you can pull those together and use the same PowerPoint, that you can definitely do that. One of the other things as a caution, when your instructors are assigning tests and doing things, we have these core level tests in here. And when you assign tests for students to take module exams, be sure that you're not doing it using the core level test, because that's an overarching exam for the core curriculum. It's 130 questions. And it tests every single one of the modules, so it pulls it all out. If you want to see what's tested in there, definitely look at the different test questions. It breaks down each of the areas that it's pulled from. But one thing to caution is to make sure when your instructors are assigning tests and they go into the test sections that they don't choose the core level test. in any of that, because what that's going to do is it's going to show different types of completions in different areas. And so just it's a caution point. A lot of our business and industry, if they've got people that they're hiring on and they have some experience, but they can't prove that they've had any training, they'll use the core level test as a way to place them within an apprenticeship program. So that's why we have that developed. We can't hide it from everybody, because it's, the toolboxes are set up generically, but the resources are there. It's a great way to show them what they would do. We do have schools across the country that use this as an end of course exam as required by their state. So they'll test through all the modules and do all that, but then the state requires them to do an end of course exam for core curriculum or carpentry level 1, and so there's some options there for them to do that. One of the other things I like to tell folks, if you're doing the entire core curriculum with people and you're doing the performance profiles and filling out these sheets, you can download them one by one out of those folders. But this document here, if you download this, it has them all in one document. So you can print and save one document, and as you're going through and doing performance profiles with students, you can then have those for each student, without having to download one at a time from that folder. So this is a great spot just to pull that one out of there. A lot of folks, when they're doing and setting up their programs, if you're you're new to NCCER, we do have an equipment list here. It's pretty intense. It talks about everything that you need for the classrooms and all that. If you're looking for the tools that you need to be able to do the performance pieces of it, then I would go from the performance profile sheet, because the hand tools and power tools sections lists a lot of that information in there, so that you can determine what you'd specifically need for doing that work. As Christine said, I was an instructor for a lot of years before I started working at higher levels with the Masonry Foundation and stuff. And when I was in the classroom and when I was teaching, I did everything through project-based learning. So all of the hands-on aspects of everything that we did was based on, students doing an actual project that incorporated the hand tools and the power tools, the reading the blueprints, the safety, all of that. So we were able to evaluate students based on the projects that they were doing. This is a great way to be able to approach it. If your organization has the ability to do some projects, and maybe they're picnic tables to donate to somewhere in the community, or birdhouses, or something that allows your students to use the different tools, you can judge a lot of the tasks within the performance evaluations, the performance profiles, through that project-based learning model. So there's definitely ways that you can integrate a lot of the different tasks that have to get checked off in that through different projects. So there's great resources in there to be able to do that. If you're using NCCER Connect, and NCCER Connect is a Pearson product that you would purchase directly through Pearson, and that's our online learning platform. Core curriculum is in there, is our biggest, most used NCCER Connect craft that is out there. A lot of our organizations are using that with students, so that they can do a lot of self-guided, self-paced learning. They can be prepared for what's going to be occurring when they go and they do things in the lab, and the performance evaluations that go along with that. There's a lot of virtual reality type things. There's a lot of click and drags. There's a lot of different interactive pieces in that curriculum. And there's also, for the instructors, a lot of different tools that you can utilize through NCCER Connect as well. Everything that's in the instructor toolbox is in NCCER Connect and more. I think the math module in core curriculum has practice questions that number about 400 at this point. So there's a lot of different things that the instructor and the students have access to through NCCER Connect. The beauty of that part of it is as they do the review questions that would be in the textbook, they're in NCCER Connect, they're automatically graded. They lead the student back to sections automatically if they're not getting questions right, so that they're self-studying back to areas where they're not sure. It allows instructors to be able to provide the right facilitation of areas that classes are struggling with as well. And there's a phenomenal number of resources. There's even some other projects within NCCER Connect that were developed over the last, I'd say, 9 months. We have some projects. There's step stools, and there's raised flower bed and things like that. And there's videos that go along with those that are part of the lesson plans that shows from NCCER's perspective how the instructor should go about doing some of that instruction. So if you're not sure, the instructors can pull those up. I'm actually the one that did the videos, so there's videos in there of me showing how to do the step stool and the flower planter, raised flower bed, and things like that. So there's other resources built into NCCER Connect that are available for individuals as well. These others, there's great resources in here for your teachers. So anywhere the teachers are doing, if you're already using NCCER, your instructors are going to know how to use the learning platform. They're going to know how to do the performance evaluations. If they don't, then please feel free to make sure reach out to me. We have other webinars and other videos as well to help instructors be successful in using that. There's a lot to go through there on setting up groups and all that, but there's videos in the support portal over here as well that will walk instructors through that process. But always know that we're here to help, and we want to be able to make sure that you're being successful and that your instructors are being successful. I know for the folks that have been using NCCER through Illinois Works, I've had plenty of interactions and conversations with several of you on those types of things, and that's my job, is to make sure that you guys are finding what you need and you're being successful and getting people through this and then into the next section. So we're getting about quarter of 11 at your time. I'm on the East Coast, so I do want to open it up to questions. Christine, if there's anything that we need to cover that you don't think I covered, I'd be happy to do that. Just let me know. I can stop sharing my screen if you like to.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much, Brad. And if there are any questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Also, you can place your questions in the chat. So we'll just give people a minute if you're typing or if you'd like to unmute and ask a question.
Thanks, Christine. This is Diane with Impact Global. If Brad, I don't know if you want to go back to it, but we did the paper this year, and I know we retained the performance profile for 1 year. Could he possibly elaborate more on the, because I know you can do a number. Is that something, Brad, that we should be doing daily after? Because that's what we've been doing daily after each class. Because this next cohort, the future ones, we're looking at being able to go into the computer and do them daily, electronically. Can you
Okay.
speak to that, please? Because I
Yeah,
know you can
so
do more than one at a time.
yeah, so in the performance evaluations, and let me just share my screen again because it's a little bit easier. In the performance evaluations, there's a couple of different ways that you can approach it. And there's so you can use the paper-based tests, you can track them all that way. You can do that and then submit them, right? So you can do it where you would actually bulk submit the paper performance evaluations that you've tracked, and you would keep those, definitely keep those, document that documentation, but then you would submit those in here, because unless they're in the computer, they're not actually qualified within the NCCER to make that module complete. So the passing of the knowledge exam for the module, and then the input of the performance evaluation, the performance profile in the system, is what makes the module complete. So that would be what you're talking, Linda, about the bulk submissions or the paper that you actually have to submit. So you would log, the instructor or whoever would take and log through here. They can choose from their groups. And I don't think I do have, oh, this is from another school. So so my test group, I could choose that group, and then I would upload, not upload, but be able to then take and verify that each of those performance profiles are complete by adding them in. If you're looking to do the online, like the on-time automatic performance profile piece, you can actually take and do that directly through here, where you would take and start doing an active performance evaluation. So if you were to take core and then choose the core and continue to work your way through, you would choose the module that you're working on. You have that group of students, they're going to populate, and then you would select on them to start that first task. And then as they do it, you'd complete that, and it will automatically save in the computer. It'll automatically, once they've done it, all of the tasks within that module performance, it'll save it as automatically being complete, and you don't have to go back and do the paper aspect of it. So it's really just go through and select these as you go, and get set up, and you would take the group and start. So there's some sign-offs on here that have to go through, and then you would start the evaluations as you go. So you need to make sure you select the right specific piece of that, and be able to access it. So there are two ways to do the performance evaluations: using the paper pencil and uploading them as a bulk submission, and then doing them as a live evaluation as well. So the sign off on that is from the instructor side, that they're doing that. There's some pieces at the end that have to be clicked off by the instructor, so that it wraps that up for those individuals. This is, again, brand new and has been operating fairly well. I know it had some bugs when it first rolled out in August, but again, if you need a little bit more support on that as you go along, we can do that separately in a different meeting as well. And I know, Linda, you guys are working directly with Skills USA Illinois as well, right?
That is correct. That is correct, Brad.
Their team should be able to help you with that as well.
Okay, that is good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, just in case people are thinking, Brad, I do have a question. So one thing that we sometimes run into with our grantees is they will have an instructional partner. And so that instructional partner has access to the NCCER website. They can have access to the transcripts and all of those things. But the people who are actually entering data into our system may not have direct access to that. one tool that we have kind of referred people to is the NCCER registry or credential search. Is
Mhm.
that something that kind of anyone can access, or can you give more information about that site?
Yeah, as long as you have an NCCR card number for a student that you need to look up, there is a way directly from the NCCR website to be able to verify credentials. So that is directly on our website. Hold on, let me pull it so I can find it here. I'm going to share my screen again. So directly from our website under credentials and certifications, where it talks about industry recognized credentials, you can verify credentials directly from here as well. So if you wanted to just search, you can hit the search bar, the magnifying glass, and just type in verify credentials and it'll take you to the link. But anybody, if they have an NCCR card number for somebody, can go in and type in the card number and it will pull up the information for that individual. I'm going to type in the one I used earlier. Okay, so I type that in and click, and it shows the same exact screen that I did from the inside of my login. So it shows that very specifically. Okay, so anybody can do that. What they would need is they would just need the card numbers that they need to search to be able to pull those things. What it's not going to give you is access to their transcript. It's only going to allow you to see what they have. So it's a way to be able to check.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions while we have Brad here, our NCCER guru? All right. Well, Brad, thank you so much for spending time with us today. I know I learned a ton. So this is actually the first time I've ever seen the inside of the NCCR system. So it's really cool to see how much is available. And we're going to share a lot of this information as well with our instructor kind of community to make sure that they know, especially about those training prescriptions. I think that's a great tool to be able to help those students go back and look at those spaces where they might need a little bit more time, a little bit more study.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
we really appreciate you being here, and thank you everyone for joining today. This is our second to last Toolbox Tuesday. So next month is our final one for the 2023 grant year, and that will be on December 12th. We are going to be talking a little bit about the closeout process, but primarily we'll be focusing on how to close out your 2023 grant year strong. And for those of you who will be joining us in the 2024 grant year, we'll be talking about some things you can be doing this year to really ensure that you are set up for success starting in January of 2024. So thank you so much. As Brad said, he sent me a couple of documents, so I will get those out to you in a follow-up email. And then Brad has also graciously offered, if you have questions, you can always reach out to him. But as he said, if you are having support issues or things like that, it was a great suggestion to reach out via email to that help desk, because they can, sounds like, maybe direct your requests a little bit easier through that mechanism. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your Tuesday.
Thank you all. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.